Welcome, everybody. We are here at MogTalk episode 131. Today, we're going to have a discussion on PvP. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, it is a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. I said raiding last time. I got a lot of crap for that, but who cares? Who cares, man? I'm never going to have a show on Chocobo Racing anyways. Guys, one day maybe, once it's more than just laggy Mario Kart. Guys, let's get into it. I want you guys to know who's on the show because that's the most important part. The guests are always the most important part of the show. And I'm going to start with Rinny here, who's going to introduce herself and kind of tell you who she is.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Rinny, or Rin Heartlily in game. I'm excited to be on the show again, and I co-founded the Wolf Pups Den Discord with Corey. So that's who I am.
There you go. All right, and then next, I'm going to go to one of the only camera, I guess, co-partners on this show here, Mr. Thana. Thana, can you tell everybody who you are?
Hola, Thana, basically been a long time PvPer, and this year, like in February or something, started making PvP guides and PvP videos and streams or whatever. So mainly about healing, and healing is like my main job, and that's what I basically do in a nutshell.
Okay. And I'm going to be fixing some Zoom stuff here real quick because apparently it's like doing some weird stuff. But while I'm doing that, Kaze, you got to do a really long introduction for yourself. Do it.
Oh boy, a long introduction. I'm not that interesting, but I'll try anyways. Okay, so I'm Kaze Hishiro on Excalibur, and my actual name is Phil. For some of you, you may know that. I mainly started Final Fantasy strictly PvE, and I started PvPing mid-season 5. A bunch of my raid group during that time they were all pretty interested in PvPing. I don't know why, the Stormblood PvP stuff, so I decided to try it out. And then I got pretty into it, started playing Bard a lot, so and then now here I am in season 6 playing Bard still.
And shoutcasting?
Oh yeah, and showcasting. That's right. I'm one of the showcasters for Aether League, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. That thing that's going on, that people are doing with Aether League, which is sad that it's the only one. But hopefully it becomes NA League soon, right? Maybe NA and EU League.
Yeah, we can talk about that more later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more later. We'll have that discussion later. We have lots of things to say about that in many different directions. But that being said, thank you guys for coming on the show. I think this is going to be a nice introduction to PvP for the people who are going out there and just now playing Rival Wings, and they're like, hey, look, I'm trying to get in this. I want to know what the community is like, what's going on. We have Thana, who's from the Chaos community. We have Kaze, who's from the Primal community. Rinny, who's from the Aether community, as well as myself from the Aether community. And so if you guys have any questions at all, I do have a little form for you guys to fill out here. You guys can click on that link. I'm trying to put an actual name that I can relate to. Don't say poo-poo butthead, whatever, because it's, you type in your own name when you put in the question. And just say who you want to ask it to, whether it's everybody or one of the guests. And then we'll get the question on air as long as it's, it passes my troll detection software that I have here. Guys, thank you all for tuning in, being here first. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the show. The first thing that I want to talk about with PvP, though, the PvP it happened a while back. What's it been, like 2-3 weeks now that the season ended?
Yeah, 2.5. No, 3 almost.
It's been almost 3 weeks, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
3 weeks. So 3 weeks that we've been in a new season. How do you guys feel about how last season ended off? Do you guys feel like it was fair? Like the people who are kind of near the top should be near the top? Or are we like kind of... I know we can always say there's going to be a couple people sprinkled in that are just completely trash that did win trading, everything else. No. I'm talking about like, yeah. They're doing that. But people who are kind of close to that top 100, do the people in the top 100 kind of deserve it? Do we feel like the system worked for the most part?
For the most part, but it was upsetting to see some win traders in the top 10, especially. It's like top 100 is crappy enough. See him in the top 10 is just like,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of depressing. I mean, did you have anyone in Chaos that you're like, man, these people in top 10?
Did we? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into too much, but yeah, we did have a couple people there that didn't really belong there, and also because of the fact that like 80, no exaggeration by the way, about 80% of the veterans from Evansward basically quit PvP or just didn't play actively. You know, those spots were filled by a lot of new people, which basically weren't playing at the exact same level as the veterans who were left. No DM or no BM or whatever.
Oh, okay.
That was just the case. So, in that sense, yes, but some bad apples in there as well.
Okay. Kaze, did you guys have some pretty bad win trading players at the very top, or was it just, again, a couple of players?
Not to my knowledge. There's quite a few alts actually, like near top 10 for sure in Primal, just from other data centers. But I don't really recall there being too many win trading, like not to my knowledge at least. I know there's been some, like pretty like big name throwers of matches, you know.
Oh, people who
overall,
did they? All right. So when we say throwers, are we talking about people who threw because they just wanted to hurt someone else that was there, or was it they threw because they're snobby and they're like, oh, I lost one person died, we're quitting?
I'd probably say both. There's been cases of both for sure. Just in general, though, it's not like prevalent, like that prevalent. It's occurred here and there, like certain parts of the season, but overall, I think it was pretty okay. It was pretty balanced. So.
Okay.
I forgot. We did at least have like one victory as a community, because there could have been 3 people in the top 10.
It's true.
And it got down to 2 because I feel like the Aether community really came together to fight the evil on one of them.
Wow.
So
did you actually get someone banned?
Props to the Aether community. Yeah, there was one person who, you know, somehow only won games when someone on the other team DC'd every match, and that person is no longer on the ladder.
Yeah, it's happened. It was one guy. Hopefully, you know, if this continues to happen, it becomes a huge issue, it will be corrected. I'm also hoping that, you know, in the end, when they start introducing more things to PvP, such as like the team registration, everything else, that we will start getting a bigger pool of players, and it's not going to be as easy for the trading to actually happen. But I mean, we complain about it every single season. We're complaining, we see these people in here, and we're like, well, we just lost a game because we lost a coin flip. Which some people will say that's every single match, right? It's always a coin flip. It's not, though. I mean, you can tell that there are people out there who go in and they win the game. And they are doing enough in the game to provide that extra over the other team. Whether if you have 3 players that are like just slight, that are worse than everyone else that's on the other team, they can coordinate that properly and execute, which is hard. And usually you have to be a healer, which, funny enough, all 3 of you guys are healers. And I think all 3 of you guys are white mages too, right?
Kaze? No, Kaze is the range.
What?
Kaze is like a bard. Hello?
I have a clip with you doing a benediction.
Yeah, but he's mostly he's known, like everyone will talk about Plum Sake is like a really good bard. He's mostly
I play white mage to, like, you know, beat the Q times.
Okay. I get
but
it.
mainly bard, yeah.
But even in Aether League, you play as ranged for your team, yeah?
Yeah.
God,
Okay.
Frosty.
I don't know, man. I assumed. I got clips from you, and I was like, man, all these guys are healers, and they're all playing white mage right now. And Thana, who's apparently an astrologian, was only...
Thana's an astro. I actually, the majority, I would say 50% of my games this season have been astro, and 50% have been white mage. So I play both.
And there's been like 2 scholars. All right? I've played against a couple of scholars that's in there, and they do okay. All right?
Scholar is rough.
Okay, 2. Kind of 2, but one that plays like 100% of the time.
Yeah.
There's shout out to Aquarain for being a lone scholar.
Aquarain, mi healer mentor dono.
But I mean, no one's succeeding really well with Scholar right now. They're not able to do it. We'll finish this tangent real quick. Do you guys feel like Scholar is in a good position at all, or are they just so bad that they can't be played unless if you have a really good player playing it?
I don't think that Scholar is bad. I think just Scholar is harder to play. It has a higher ceiling skill-wise, and so that's why we see more White Mage than we do Scholar, because I think White Mage is a lot friendlier in terms of picking it up, and like it's like Scholar, I think you have to be, it's a good way of putting it. What a lot of people say about Scholar is you have to work a lot harder to accomplish what White Mage and Astro can and do a lot easier. You know, you just have to work a lot harder on Scholar.
I mean, would you say that, like, if you had the same player, same skill level, that's like top tier, best player in the world, and one was playing Scholar, one was playing a White Mage would just win?
No.
No? You think it would be even?
I mean, because it's not like a 1 versus 1 healer fight, but like,
well, yeah.
On paper, kind of, but you know, very few matches.
Thana, how do your matches against Aqua go?
If someone doesn't throw, which is about 1 out of 10 games in Chaos, I'm joking. I'd say it's pretty equal, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, there it goes. I knew it. All right, hold on. Hold tight.
Is that something I should care about? Because there was at the next line, I was like, maybe Frosty has it.
Yeah, maybe I had it. I wasn't looking over there at the time. Like I was going through the website while you guys were talking, but I tried not to like disrupt the conversation. But then we had a huge disruption, so there we go. All right, so we got to get back on track to where we were real quick. Kaze, can you talk? I want to make sure you're alive.
Hello.
Oh, you're lower for some reason.
Oh, am I? Hold on, give me a sec.
Oh, maybe you're just far away from your mic. I don't know.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's good. Rinny?
All right, okay.
Hello. Does this work?
Yeah, you're talking a little low, but I think you're doing that intentionally, so I'm just gonna...
Kind of.
Okay. All right, we're back now, guys. We're back. We're going to just continue the conversation. We're just going to keep going. All right? And now I got to remember where we were. Thana, where were we?
Don't ask me. I got a goldfish memory.
Oh.
I was asking you about you versus Aqua, and you said it was more or less equal.
Oh, if someone didn't throw
I think that was what we ended up.
We were talking about
Scholar and
White Mage,
Yeah. Okay. So, I got to ask you, man, like, do you have multiple people who throw, or is it just like 1, maybe 2 people who do it?
EU?
Yeah, EU.
No, I don't. Like, right now, I think we only have one. That person that like sometimes goes on a throw rampage. But other than that, I don't think we have like legit throwers. I think there's just a lot of like people who are not good at the PvP yet, or have not gathered the skills yet to do that well at like plat diamond level. And just people are saying, you know, they throw matches because they're bad. But I don't think anyone except for that one person, you know, actually throws matches. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we have one person who's infamous for it on Aether. Kaze, do you have anyone that's infamous? How do you say it?
Infamous?
Infamous. I don't know why.
Why does my EU ass need to teach you words?
I don't know. Tell me, man. All right. Go, Kaze.
On Primal? They're, okay, like, I'm sure, like, a lot of Primal players will know who I'm talking about. I won't really say their name, but there's this one person who would throw a lot. Like since I joined in season 5, I haven't really experienced all the amount of throwing that they've done, but they started playing a little bit at the end of season 5, and I kind of experienced it. I kind of didn't really like it, so he hasn't really showed up ever since, though. So I'm happy that he hasn't showed up yet. But
it kind of sounds like Primal has it pretty nice. Like, you don't have as many people trading, and you don't have as
Oh, trading is happening, I'm pretty sure, like somewhere, but I don't think it's like high enough to like influence me. Like I got pretty high up in top 100. I didn't really care too much. I know people have been complaining at the lower ranks, but
yeah, I think Aether probably has the most when trading.
Yeah. That's depressing to hear. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. EU, I don't think you have more over in EU than Aether.
Well, I mean, considering what I said at the beginning of the stream is 80% of our like veterans are gone, so to begin with, we have less people. So,
Well, I mean, hopefully 80% of those veterans weren't win traders too, right?
no.
Oh,
I
okay.
hope so. I hope so.
Well, I mean, like, I felt like the season ended pretty well. Or I think Aether, you had to be around. It was like really close to 2,200 to be on the board. Kaze, what was Primal?
Probably closer to 2100. I think a little bit higher.
Okay. Thana?
I'm pretty sure the tail was at like 2.2k or something like that.
Okay.
No, it was like 2.17. I don't know, something like that. Near 2.2.
Okay. And so when we went over to this season and they immediately started and they said this is going to be a short season, I really don't think people are going to get that high this season. I'm actually kind of concerned about it simply because I feel like people are going to hit diamond and just stop playing 100%.
I mean, it hasn't chaos like the most diamonds right now or some shit. Like what?
Does it?
I think like if you go to the Lone Star, it sort of shows 3 chaos people, like literally from our top like 3 on the like top across all data series. So I don't know if we're just tryharding or whatever, but yeah. But yeah, I'm expecting that as well. I don't think people quite realized it until the last couple of weeks that the season is actually going to be a lot shorter and they're going to be lower than usual, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think is that a good thing right now? Is that a bad thing that we're shorting the season?
Go ahead, Rin.
I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think most people have expressed that they prefer it like this. Or at least like people definitely seem to say that last season was too long.
Yeah, I mean, if we go based off of last season, which was like almost 4 months, and if we have the weapon rewards, if you get like the weapon reward, you don't get top 10 and you get the weapon in 2 seasons. That means you get 1 weapon in 8 months. That's 1 item in 8 months. That doesn't motivate a lot of people.
Right.
So I mean, in that sense, it's better that the seasons are shorter, and hopefully we can get more seasonal rewards as well. So will seem like you get more rewards, you feel more motivated to do it because you get rewards faster in a sense.
Well, I mean, would that not have everyone drop off around the end of the year?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, everybody would have their weapons like in the first 2 seasons, and then they have like a few more patches to go through. I mean,
that's what I mean. Yeah, go ahead.
I know. I was just like wondering if they're going to add more weapons or gear or something in there to inspire people to keep going. Because at this point, after 2 seasons, you have nothing else to work for except for top 100 to get the gear, right?
Yeah, I mean, getting multiple weapons is getting a bit redundant because you have to do so many seasons in a row to actually get another one, or like 3 even.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like the shorter seasons plus more rewards would make a more compelling of a system, I think, so that we can get faster rewards, a variety of different rewards, not just the weapons. If it's just like this and then quicker seasons, then yeah, I see a lot of people just like, meh, I already got the weapon.
Yeah. I mean, they could get a weapon for an alt or something, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know. Maybe there are people who are inspired by that. I'm not inspired by playing other jobs. I don't know if people know that about me, but I play Paladin, and I don't really play other things. It's just because it's not compelling. It's not interesting.
You need to.
I mean, like, I've played every single job in PvP, but I've only touched them to get a taste, right? It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to try to be serious about this.
I'm kind of worried, though. So, this season is going to end when 4.2 comes out. And then does that mean that the next season's going to start right away when 4.2 comes out?
I don't know if that's a decision that they got.
I hope they don't do that. So that's what I'm worried about. And another feedback I feel like that's been kind of popular is I think Feast players are used to, like, isn't there normally a preseason?
Yeah.
Where it's unranked?
Yeah, there's like a intermediate.
Yeah, and so I feel like a lot of people are feeling the pressure of this season because it's shorter. It was right away after last season. There wasn't really a gap. And so, a lot of people we're even saying like, oh, I feel like there are a lot of veteran players that haven't even really started climbing yet or are still like bronze or unranked. And, I've heard some friends say like, I'm kind of burned out from season 5. And it's just like there was no break. It just kind of jumps into the next one. So, but it's like you feel like the pressure that you have to play now. So that's the thing, is like I kind of wish like I had more time to play like Rival Wings and stuff like that. But I also felt like if I don't start climbing now, it's gonna suck to try to climb later, because it's like everybody's trying to climb now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping like Rival Wings wasn't going to be released the same time as season 6, because I thought the most logical way for them to release the content would be to release Rival Wings to let all players, even players who want to like go like ham and feast, to try out Rival Wings a little bit more, and then season 6 would start. I like the whole shortening the season as well, because it, instead of having that like 3 to 4 months where like the first month everyone's trying to climb, so like the queues are like really fast, and then like month 2 to 3 are pretty much just dead, because no one, they're like, people already got to where they wanted to be, and then they're sitting on their rank, so the queues are really slow. And then Dark Week is when it starts picking up again. I kind of like that whole, it's like about 2 months this season, I think, so it'll kind of be like this first month is going to be climbing, and then the next month is going to be Dark Week pretty much, so that's where everyone's going to start picking up. So it'll be more games per week, so it'll be better.
Yeah, I think the game consistency hasn't been too bad. Like, usually during the prime time, I'm able to get a game every single time. I haven't had too many issues with getting a game, except for when I'm like doing it in the middle of the night or something. Or when like Aether League's going on, that seems to like take out a lot of players from the game. But I mean, other than that, it's been fine. And man, but you know, I started playing, I haven't touched Rival Wings. I've only played Feast the entire time since the start of the season, and it's been rough. It's been rough. Like I don't know. It's like literally rolling the dice almost every single game. I feel like now it's starting to even out, but going from unranked to silver was a long stretch to get into like a zone of people who've never even touched PvP before and playing a game with them. Because that's huge. If someone if it's never touched Feast before and they just now get into a game of Feast, you got to deal with that all the way up to silver. I feel like it makes sense, I guess, in the way of getting games, but it's a rough road, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think the lower divisions would die out almost instantly if we had 1-tier matchmaking there as well. But it is nonetheless, there was a lot of stuff happening in those divisions, dude.
I feel like unranked or something, you should have like 3 games or something where your first games are just with other people that have never played. You just have 3 games. I don't know how they could make that work, but
yeah, I
just
feel
throw
bad.
robots in there or something. I don't know, man. Just like let them get a taste and understand how to press their buttons just for a few games.
I don't like how everybody starts off as unranked. And I think it's, you know, especially if you want new players coming in and trying Feast, if they come in and their first match is against someone who was Diamond last season and they're just going to get demolished, you know, a lot of people's, you know, some people will brush it off and be like, okay, I'll just try again. But a lot of people's response is going to be like, well, that wasn't fun. And I obviously don't know what I'm doing. So I don't really want to try that again. And it's like, I feel like they could have I feel like they could have staggered the rankings a little bit better, which would have made the gateway Venturi a little bit better. What I was kind of thinking is having everybody start off 2 ranks below where they finished last season. Or maybe I think Diamond players should have started in the least at silver, but more likely gold. So that way they're not even getting matched with unranked players. You know, it's kind of like, I'm sure there are other games that are, you know, that serve as good examples, but so I play a decent amount of Hearthstone. And it's like, you know, you have to rank up the season ends and every single month. At the end of the month is end of the season. Beginning of the month is a new season. You have to rank up again. And you know, if you didn't really play, you kind of start off at the lowest rank. But if you manage to climb, like say I made it to rank 14, I'm gonna start off as like rank 22 in the next season. You know, they bring you down by a certain amount to climb back up, but it's not like everybody starts at the same base, which is I feel like they should be doing for Feast too. Because there should realistically still be good queues and a good amount of matches for every ranking if they use that kind of system.
Well, if they go down 2 ranks every single time, everybody that was platinum will be silver, and so people will still be facing like unranked versus silver for like a 500-point gap, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's something that I was surprised about. At first, I didn't think silver would be able to get matched against unranked, but they did anyway because it's supposed to be only 1 below or up. But yeah, when you're silver, you can still get unranked. And I don't know, maybe they should change that. Maybe they're scared that there wouldn't be enough people if it was just if unranked could only get matched with bronze. I'm not sure.
I almost think like they should have a timer on it, right? They say, all right, for the first week, it's 1 tier, and then after that, silver can be placed with them. Like just give a little breathing room and just say, hey, these people who are going really quick, just get them out of the way, get them away from all the new players for a bit, and then you go in there and unranked and bronze, and then bronze can do silver and unranked, and silver can do unranked and or bronze and gold, and that would make it a little bit more stable. And then like say, all right, now it's been like a week, let's turn on the switch, and now silver can face unranked again. Because I understand that there aren't a lot of games happening within that range, and that's why they did it. But it's complete murder for people who are getting into the game. The first, first day. They're like, Rival Wings, oh, I'm going to play a couple games. It's like, oh, this is kind of cool, but you know what? I don't really feel like I'm playing PvP. I feel like I'm just playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots, And then they're like, all right, well, let me get in the real PvP because that's kind of fun. My competitive urges are up there. Go in there, and then I come over there and I just hit them in the head and just kill them. It's just done. Healers have it so bad. Like new healers are just
new healers, especially.
I know. I felt so bad when I was climbing. When I, would get matched against, it was obvious I was playing against a healer that they're new, they're not sure what to do, and it's like it's not fair when you're playing against a healer that kind of knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's also with the change in story, but when everything got streamlined, every single job got streamlined. When DPS's skills get streamlined and it's less hard to fuck up everything, every single DPS is about probably going to do about max DPS in their burst, whether if they're bronze or whether if they're diamond. The playstyle differs a lot, but the burst damage is going to be very similar. So new healers are going to be facing off against damage that is comparable to diamond plat players without the experience of a diamond plat healer. So that's also rough for new healers coming in.
Well, I mean, I think right now the skill for DPS is coordination. That's it. Literally, that's you have a healer who knows how to survive pressure, right? Then you have DPS who know how to coordinate, and then you have tanks who know how to stun and properly control, certain aspects of the match. Those are all the same levels, I think. If you can get those in the proper levels, then you start having decent matches and decent players. But if you have DPS who don't know how to coordinate, that's as bad as a healer who doesn't know how to handle pressure.
Yeah, I completely agree with I haven't played in the previous seasons 3.0 and before, but I heard things where it's a lot easier to carry as a single a DPS or a warrior, or it's a lot you can solo someone essentially. You can solo kill someone with the amount of utility that you have because they didn't separate the PvP skills. But coming into season 5, season 6 where 4.0 hits, I feel that kind of PvP playstyle, they wanted to make it more team oriented, and in that sense I feel like it's a better way to approach it. Now you can't just solo someone. You have to coordinate with the team. And I feel like when they release light party ranked, it'll really be prevalent in that mode coming into this type of PvP.
Yeah, some jobs, when you put them from the solo queue environment back in 3.0 into light party, you could just delete someone's face in 0.5 seconds and they couldn't do anything about it. If you didn't have the cooldown, of course, at 2 minutes, whatever, you could just delete people instantly. And that wasn't balanced. It was okay in solo queue because it wasn't as coordinated. But when it got coordinated, that was just.
So I'm kind of curious, when we get into team registration fights and everything, I want to know how that's actually going to work in the way of getting people interested in doing it. Because they're talking about having people say, hey, you have this many people who can register for a team. Do we think that's actually going to take off? Or is that just going to be a handful of teams actually fighting each other, just like we have currently?
I feel like it's gonna be pretty one-sided. There's gonna be one or two teams who are just gonna dominate the whole thing, maybe kick some people out because they don't feel like they have a chance to win against these teams. But I feel like rank-wise, if that dominant team does get out of the range of unranked bronze, I feel like that will hopefully get some people like playing again. Like some people will just want to play with their friends and they'll be like, oh, let's play light party ranked, you know, try to like team up, see if we can coordinate, have some fun. There'll be a lot of those teams, I'm pretty sure, but then there will be some who have been playing for many seasons that'll just dominate.
That's also a thing that they do need to change about light party, no matter how they think that the queue is going to die if they do this. Have some sort of matchmaking like divisions for light party, because back in 3.0, if you were diamond, you still get matched up with unranked teams. That's bullshit. Like, how could you be farming some unranked teams as a diamond, like full diamond team? That doesn't make any sense. Some newbies come in and are like, hey, this is fun. Insta-rect in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Never going to come back in. Never.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel like Square Enix has, you know, good intention with the way they change a lot of things, but it's just like it's lacking in terms of how they develop it, if that makes sense. It's just like so I think they did a good job reeling in a lot of new players with Stormblood. And you know, this is obviously like a controversial topic, I think, especially with veteran players, because I think most veteran players prefer 3.0 PvP. But I feel like the reality is that you can't really argue at this point is, you know, Stormblood PvP did attract a lot of new players because it was a little less overwhelming for them. Just, you know, how they kind of simplified each job. They brought it down to what, like, we have like 9 buttons instead of 30, right? Which I can see why some players are upset in terms of like, you know, they feel like it took away from their skill level, I guess, or they made it too easy, which to some degree I agree. Like maybe they didn't have to be that extreme. Like, you know, maybe we didn't have to go from 30 buttons to 9. Maybe we could have done like 15 or something. I don't know. But I still think the biggest problem, which I said the last time I was on the show, is just there's a lack of like education and resources out there for players to even learn what they're doing. Right. And it's just kind of like you get thrown in right away.
I don't know. At this point, there's not really a lack anymore. It's just people aren't looking for it. Because, I mean, there's stuff out there.
They don't even know how to find it,
Like, Corey has published her own stuff out there, right, for new players getting into it. There's websites dedicated, like PvP Piazza, and then there's, like,
That's why I created the Discord server.
And then there's a Discord, right? And so, I mean, like, there's lots of stuff out there for people to actually go in there. Players just have to know that they need to look for it. And I don't think that they think about it. Maybe they just ignore it. They're like, whatever. I personally have to go up to players and then message them after a game. Hey, I noticed you sucked. Here's some information that can make you not suck. But I don't say it in that way. But that's usually the intention. Because if someone's playing and they're just like, you know, they're doing things that are obviously wrong. They go in there and they say, oh, well, I'm gonna like when they hit the tank box, man, I get so mad. Like I just start like fuming. And then I'm like, I gotta message this guy after the match. I gotta sit here and do cross-world, go through the whole system of getting him to add me as a friend, cross-world, so I can say, hey, dude, it looks like you're playing PvP a lot. I noticed some things. You know, would you be up to learning more about how to not suck? And then usually, if it's phrased properly, it works out okay.
I would also like say that it would bring more awareness to the scene and like the resources if we had more people creating content for it. Like, I understand the fact that it's not very motivating when you know, Final Fantasy 14 PvP's scene is not the biggest. People in general, people are not really fond of it outside of the tight-knit community that we have. So having more content creators than just, I don't want to sound self-centered or cocky or whatever, but it all honestly seems like I'm the only one creating PvP-centric content on YouTube. Twitch, there's a lot of streamers there, but not a lot of people go to Twitch to see Final Fantasy 14 PvP stuff. So having like different role like type of people, like someone who specializes in melee, making YouTube videos, guides, whatever, is going to bring a lot more awareness of where to find these different things and more awareness to PvP in general.
Right. I can agree with that, because I feel like we do have a lot more content in PvE. Like, we have a lot of the high-end raiders. Like, I've seen different YouTube videos of them posting their, like, doing videos of their rotations and stuff like that. And there is more content creation happening in the raid scene, I think, than there is in PvP, for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like we would, if we wanted to expand it, I feel like we would have to, engage more, get more people to engage in making PvP content. And I just feel like they should have had some novice network or some Hall of the Novice for PvP, like, or have some like informative section in your PvP profile to discuss what like the ranked feast is or something, just to give people, it's like, don't 10 stack, right? Like 10 stacks will make you take 120% more.
Don't 2 stack. Don't 3 stack. Don't 4.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, this is, it would be nice to have these videos out there. I mean, we would have to find someone who would want to make these videos and understand PvP very well, like Thana, right? But then we need someone for Paladin, we need someone for Dark Knight, we need someone for Warrior, we need someone for 15 different jobs, unless if Thana is going to just go out there and be the master of 15 different jobs. I mean... You don't have to, in the end, you don't have to be the master of all 15 jobs, I guess. You just have to have the basic understanding of it. I mean, we need like a basic, like, intro, 5 minutes. You watch this, then you know all the basics of Feast. This is metals, adrenaline box timings, Wolf's Heart timing, why these things matter, real quick, and just knock it out. Then do it, dude. Why? Come on.
Well, I do have a general player guide for, like, every single role, which is, like, very nutshell-y. For all the roles, it's like 35 minutes, but it has like sections which are like those like 5-7 minutes type of clip, like videos that have like different things about positioning, for example, or just skill knowledge or stuff like that. I have made videos, but like mainly I focus on healers. That is very true, and I could make like quick guide videos on every single job, but that's a lot of time investment that I don't know if I have right now.
Yeah,
I would love to do it, but I just honestly don't know if I can.
Yeah, and past this show, I don't have time to do it either. Like this is what I have time to do in my extra content creation for Final Fantasy 14, which is sad. I'd love to do more. I'd love to quit my job and just say, hey, for the next year, I'm just going to sit here and dedicate myself to being a proponent of PvP for Final Fantasy 14, and actually do a good job at it, right? And not just like half-ass it the entire time. It would be nice, but I mean, like, it's a difficult thing to get someone to get into, because someone has to have the money financially to be able to do it, or have some sort of situation that allows them to do it.
Yeah, that's what I also mean. Like, you don't get crazy amounts of views, and you don't get crazy amount of like just people coming to you, so you don't have that sort of opportunity to become the Mr. Happy of PvP. And
I think it can happen. It can happen easily.
It can, but like,
I mean, I don't know.
Road ban is very long. And you know,
yeah, it could be long
because I'm not the most active on YouTube anymore, but like recently I have not been. But the thing about it is it's just, first you need to kind of get there, and it takes a lot of time, especially in Final Fantasy 14, which is not the most viewed game of all time.
No.
In the first place.
Although things that go out there and spark players' interest in things that they can't do, for example, Ultimate, and it becomes a spectator sport, that gets people in. Aether League, I think, has the most attention viewer-wise when it's actually happening with the Aether Cup. And there's, you know, when they did that, they had like 400, 500 people watching.
Yeah, I think that's like the community events and leagues and tournaments like that are like a very good way of bringing in new people from the PvE side as well.
Yeah, and so, I mean, like, that stuff's happening, and then we're getting more attention going out there, which is bringing more players in. Then we still need an environment that players can join into. We don't need to have this environment where we're kind of forced locking people out, which, you know, has happened. And Tryhard is like the Discord everybody goes to. It's the chat everybody goes to discuss PvP in general. But, I mean, and I said this before, and then people got mad at me because they blame me for deleting memes or some shit. But, like, when your entire chat becomes like this whole thing, a match happens, and there's just like pictures of people you're making fun of them, like the heaviest person in the world is like gravitational star, you know, stuff like that. Like, when that stuff happens, sorry.
Yeah.
And it's like, it happens every single time, right? And then they see that and they're like, man, I really don't want to get in a match where I'm going to piss the wrong person off, right? Because if you do, you can become this whole meme. And which in reality is not the situation, because at the same time, people who are doing bad, when they actually show improvement and they're trying and they're doing well, for example, Rinny, all right, when you first joined, you weren't very good, right? The first couple days, right? So there you go. And I'm saying right 500 times, but in the end, you got better, and so it's not a meme anymore, right?
Right.
Okay.
But I think it's just for a lot of people. I think seeing that, joining tryhard and seeing that sort of is already like a huge like deterrent in a sense. People turn off. Thank you. That they just see that and imagine, well, that's probably going to happen to me as well. Let me not bother. And you know, if anyone's seen my podcast, I wouldn't really have as much of an issue with all the stuff that happens in tryhard if it wasn't literally considered the face of our PvP community by the rest of the game, pretty much. I think it's the most discussed, talked about, and known Discord, PvP Discord, outside of our community, whether we want it or not. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's the place to go to right now. Yeah. Even if it becomes unmoderated and no one ever does anything there or anything else, it's still the known place. You know it's there. It exists. And people are going to be there and you can talk to them. And you can gripe about your matches after you're done with them. And then let's jump into the Discord topic just a little bit since we've already hit it. Rinny, I want you to actually talk a little bit about Wolf's Pupstin. Wolf's Pupstin.
Sure. So Wolf Pupstin is a new Discord server that I created along with Corey Yanu. I hope I didn't butcher your name. But it's meant to be basically what, you know, how Kaze said earlier, like I wish there was a Hall of Novice-esque type thing for PvP. That was the idea behind Wolf Pupstin. So basically we created this server to be completely centered on helping newer players and even existing players, you know, just get better and learn more about Feast. Is as you said, you know, I did join the tryhard community when I was starting out last season. I searched my name in tryhard and I saw a few people just saying like, oh, Rin's terrible healer and blah, blah. And I was just like, oh no, I didn't like it. You know, that was the thing, but it was just back then I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I was one of those players we were talking about earlier, one of those unranked or bronze healers where I went in and I didn't know some of the basic fundamentals of the game. I didn't know that I shouldn't take defense buff as a healer. I didn't know that I should always take the Wolf's Heart as a healer. I didn't know those basic things. And it wasn't until I saw somebody like, you know, calling me out and tryhard and just calling me terrible, where I was just like, hey, like that's not cool. And then I started taking part in like just conversations and stuff like that and tryhard a lot more. And I started asking people for criticism. I was like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, what can I be doing better? I started asking questions. I started streaming and like, you know, that's the only reason I kind of turned around and started getting better at the game. And I just wanted a place for players that felt a little less intimidating. And where it was basically the entire focus, because I think tryhard is, and you know, it is a really great portal for the PvP community, or it's the premier portal. It's where everybody is. But it's more general, I would say. Like it's, you know, it has a mix of veteran and new players, but I think veterans kind of dominate tryhard. So I wanted a place where it was the opposite. I wanted a place where it was completely focused on the newer players and where they can get better. And so my idea behind it was, you know, I kind of thought up of the idea of like, hey, we have, you know, some really great players that do a really good job kind of giving advice and guiding players to get better. And I wanted them to be able to be like distinguishable in the Discord, which is why I created different roles. So I have the mentors. And so that's why if you go into Wolf Hubs, then you'll see kind of on the side, you know, there are tank mentors, healer mentors, melee mentors, etc. And we even separated the channels now. So now it's a lot easier for people to kind of filter through and find like tips and advice for whatever role they're playing, and be able to ask questions and stuff like that. And sorry, I kind of went on like a giant rant, but
sales pitch.
Yeah.
That's Wolf Hubs then.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like Rinny's earning anything from this, right? She's just like putting something together. Maybe she has some secret advertiser in the background of everything. I don't know. But
Corey.
Yeah, Corey. She's the investor. No, but I mean, honestly, it is good to have a place where people can go in there and actually not feel horrible for being bad. They can instead feel like, hey, I have a place that I can ask a question, and people aren't going to just sit there and be upset at me for not knowing the answer already.
Yep.
And so I agree that's very good. I mean, Tryhard works really great for just being that general focus area, but it's nice to have that little safe haven, which
I think that, yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is, so Tryhard does have a questions channel as well. So, you know, obviously, like, they inspired that idea. But I do think in general, the way I think of it right now is Tryhard serves more as a portal for veteran players, and Wolf Pups then serves more as a portal for new players. It's the best way I can put it, because I do think Tryhard is important because you know, it brings together a lot of the more veteran players. It's a place for them to talk or vent or whatever, and that's what is there. And then Wolf Pups then it's more filtered. It's, you know, it's more moderated. It's like, which some people don't like, but I think for an environment to bring in newer players and, you know, have them join in, it's a less intimidating environment is more important, in my opinion, which is why I created it that way.
Yeah.
You need to have it moderated in a sense. You can't have people, you know, do the normal stuff.
Right.
Thing in there, because it's supposed to help a lot of new people feel comfortable getting into it.
I mean, in the end, too, when we're talking about Tryhard, if you ever try to moderate that, it would kill the Discord. The Discord would die immediately. You can't moderate it. So we have to have a place that we can moderate it. So I think that's the best thing to do. All right, so good. You guys have an idea about that. We might revisit that a little bit. I feel like that Discord's been growing a lot. How many new players do you have in that Discord?
Let me pull up the members. I can give you the number. Sure. So the server is about, I would say, a week old or a week and a half old. And we're at 427 members. Which
is great, because that means there's that many more people that will not immediately be deterred from doing PvP. Because, I mean, good.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, I just wanted to say, like, I've said this, you know, in the Discord itself, but I just kind of want to express my appreciation to everyone that has made the Discord as successful as it has been. Like, you know, shout out to my moderators and all the mentors. People have really been going out of their way to answer people's questions, just help out, stuff like that. It's like, I knew that it would do pretty well, but I didn't expect it to do this well. And the only reason is because of like all the people that have been helping. So I'm very appreciative to all of them.
For sure.
For sure.
So with that being said, I feel like we're starting to get more people into PvP right now that are a little bit more accepting of the environment. Because, I mean, PvP, when you strip it down and you're first getting into it right now as a new player, it's fun. PvP is fun. It's 9 buttons, but it's fun, man. It's not that difficult to figure out. And you can get the key elements kind of down, and then you can start focusing on actually core gameplay that is the real improvement, which, again, is the coordinated DPS. You have the healing, understanding how to handle pressure and how to line of sight. All these different things become the factors that you have to learn to become a better player. And I had a discussion a little bit with you, Thana, about my thoughts on the new system and everything else. I felt like line of sight, I felt like coordination, I felt like all these other things weren't as much of a factor back in the old days. They existed, and the really good players, you know, use that, but it wasn't as much of a factor before, because you could just do a really good rotation and have really good latency and a really bad latency, depending on which side of the coin you want to be on that. and then you could just easily plow through people, and you could carry as a machinist, right?
Yeah, I mean, the best way I could put it is like everything before the Stormblood change, for example. Everything, like a lot of people were saying that this is going to be a lot more like positioning and everything is going to be a lot more important now, but it was important before as well. But because some jobs were overtuned, like machinists and monk to a certain extent as well. You didn't really need to because you were so overtuned you could really just solo someone and you didn't really need to care about positioning all that much because that kind of overshadowed it. But it was still important in light party setting. Like you could not just go in and just do your rotation PTE and someone drop down. Compared to solo queue, you could do that. So it was like the same level of importance, but in uncoordinated play, it became less important because you could just with those kind of like overtuned jobs, kind of like bypass it, sort of. The positioning skills, the line of sight skills, everything.
Yeah. Which I'm glad is gone, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm actually glad because I want PvP to be more about these other mechanics than it is about just doing a rotation. And that's just my thought behind it all.
I mean, however much people want to bring back the thing about like DPS soloing people without any help it's a very unhealthy state for the game, no matter how much people are clamoring for it to be brought back. Because when you bring in 2 DPS plus a tank in coordinated play, that's going to end up in a system where you just get deleted and you can't do anything about it. And that's not fun.
Yeah.
It should be team or it should be team coordinated, which it is now. However, questionable and you know, opinion dividing the system is right now. I think it's still a better start for the system.
Yeah. Kaze, let's get your thoughts on here. They're saying in chat they want to hear from you, dude. And we've been talking a lot, and we've been not bringing you. If you had a camera in there, I could kind of see your face and your reactions, and I could probably, like, you know, feed off that a little bit. But it's okay, Kaze. It's okay.
I mean, I don't really have too much to say with in terms of old PvP since I just wasn't there. But I do like the direction that this current PvP is taking. Like, I like the whole, like, I know it's overly simplified to a lot of players, but I feel like it's a good starting point for a lot of newer players. And as a result, like, it's still pretty challenging for even the veteran players, because sure, it may be only 9 buttons, but at the end of the day, it's like, who can press those 9 buttons better? And it's not just the 9 buttons, it's about positioning, it's about awareness. There's so many other PvP factors to consider, not just the 9 buttons. And I feel like when they go into 5.0, they'll probably add a little bit more into it, into the mix. Maybe if people do feel like that the simplicity of it is, you know, like overwhelming, they could, you know, add a couple more skills and see how that turns out. So this is a whole new PvP system that it's not like set in stone. They're still trying it out. They've been making adjustments here and there. So I'm really looking forward to the way that they're gonna continue on with this type of PvP.
Yeah, I mean, 100% in 5.0, they're going to add more abilities. I know this. Like, just go ahead and clip this, whatever you guys want to do, and then you can hold it against me if I'm wrong somehow. It's going to happen. There's going to be, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, 2 new actions per job. 2 new actions. Every job's going to get 2 new actions.
I honestly think that I'm just going to say, in my opinion, and I think it's very true as well, 2 new actions, next expansion, nothing else. By then, it's too late.
Nothing's gonna happen before the next expansion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
they might put a new map in. That's what I'm thinking, is that they'll probably do a new map for Feast at some point throughout the expansion, and they're gonna add in team registration. And those are gonna be the 2 new PvP highlights throughout this expansion, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that it's a good starting point, like Kaze said, and a lot of us have been agreeing with that as well. It's a good starting point, but I would hope that they would communicate, as you know, all like what they're planning, so that we can know like where we're going from here. Are we gonna get new abilities? Because at the moment, it is pretty dull.
Live letters in about a week.
Hopefully, but it's just like, other than that, as like, we need I don't want to see it sound like too needy, but we do need sort of communication about what they're planning, and the information should be more frequent than every 3 months.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we're going to take serious what they said before, hey, we're going to take Feast into esports, hopefully we can do that, then yeah, first thing is we need a team that's dedicated to Feast on Square Enix side that can talk to us. And it's say, hey, this is your PvP team. This is your guy who coordinates PvP. This is your guy who balances it out. And just make that a little bit more transparent on our end, so we can say, hey, we have a division, we have a team dedicated to what we like. And it's not just some second afterthought. We have a person who's dedicated, we have a couple people dedicated to moderating Feast in the ranked modes, right? We have I don't know how much it costs to do all this stuff. I don't know if it's so far out of range to give somebody like, I mean, I would do that for like a pretty decent, not like a huge rate. Like they would have to pay me a lot, and I would still do it. They'd pay me what a GM does, and I would sit there and I would dedicate my time to making sure that Feast was fair and balanced overall. I mean,
and I think we also need the between communication in the sense that we don't just get the fact that we give the feedback and then we get whatever we get, and we get to know what the chances are like the day on the patch. We need to be like, this is going to sound a bit needy, but I think this is going to be a lot healthier for the PvP, and I've seen this a lot in a lot of other games, and it works well, is when the devs communicate us to like the incoming changes in about like let's say in the next 2 months. Hey, we're planning this. Not anything too specific, but because if you do that, people are going to rip you to shreds. They're going to be like, you said that, where's that? Type of thing. But, you know, like, hey, we're aware of this issue and we're trying to fix it. Hold tight, Asni. But, you know, and then players can go, hey, that change sounds kind of off. Can you change that a little bit? Sounds needy, but I think that back and forth communication even between the changes is going to be a lot more healthier.
Yeah, no, that communication on the forums, that communication anywhere else. And right now people are afraid to say different things, right? Because they're like, if we say that, because there's not a person authorized to put out that kind of information and say, hey, look, we understand, we hear your issues, we're presenting it. And maybe they are authorized to do it, but they're not just doing PvP.
Yeah.
They're doing 500 other things.
Right.
It was a humorous example about the housing issue debacle that came forth. The Yoshi P answered to his favorite children's PvE voice. He still doesn't acknowledge us. That's a joke, by the way. But it's just humorous to point out.
I feel like a lot of the the PvP issues, like, okay, for example, like, okay, if you guys have seen like a lot of the Japanese like tournaments, like PvP tournaments, you can see there's a lot more scholars, you know, like playing in those tournaments. Whereas in North America or EU, people are complaining about how Scholar is so underpowered. And you can see how in this most recent patch, the only thing they changed to Scholar was a nerf on change stratagem. So you can kind of see that maybe a lot of the influence in terms of how the PvP like changes is more on the JP side. Because I don't.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I just like, it might not necessarily be, but I just feel like in terms of that, like, it's more easier for that team because they're the main developers, and a lot of the Square Enix people in North America are kind of just the translators, and they do manage like servers and stuff. But I feel like most of the development is on the JP side. So,
well, I mean, like. No, I was just going to say, like, yeah, that makes sense, and I think that a lot of communication does happen there. I don't know. I'm not in the background of Square Enix, so it's hard for me to comment on that stuff, but we still need someone that on the NA side, EU side, or one person that could cover both of them that just kind of communicates with us directly and discusses the issues that we're seeing within the community with PvP. Because, I mean, the majority of the players are not in Japan. There's a lot of players out of Japan, but if you add in EU and NA, there's more players in that whole section than there is in JP, right?
And the point that Kaze brought up about that there's a lot of scholars on JP side rather than the NA and EU, there's almost none. And the single change that they did to healers was a scholar nerf. And that would also be a very enlightening information for the devs to give us, is what is the change based on? Is it because on JP side, what is the skill name that they nerfed? Whatever. That was strong and they didn't nerf it.
Braille?
No. The that increases damage taken. I can't remember the name.
Change stratagem.
Yeah.
Thank you. So basically, they nerf that, and they could say, "Oh, this was based on JP data," and then NA and EU could be like, "Oh, we're just terrible. We don't know how to play." So then it could be like, "Okay, they know how to do it. We need to adapt," type of thing. So we know where we're going, so that we don't scream, "Oh, Scala is the shittiest job of all time," and JP is like, "Hello, we're OP," type of thing.
I would love to have NA versus EU versus GAP in an actual match.
We'd get wrecked.
I would just love to
especially EU. Trust me, EU in this current state, we'd get smacked to the fucking dish.
If you say so, man. I don't know. So, anyways, yeah, I guess we can all kind of agree that we would like to see just some sort of official, I guess, member from Square Enix kind of handling all the PvP side, and that's just their job. They're dedicated to dealing with the community and PvP. Because we know, the community members I know, I've talked to them, and I think they're great people, but I don't think they have the resources to be able to handle what PvP actually needs to have if you want to take it towards esports.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not enough. I mean, not in a bad way. I'm not like, you need more type of thing, but it's not enough. Just that's the reality.
Yeah.
It's very obvious as well.
Yep.
Like, I know this is like a mile away, but you know, FanFest is coming up this next year, supposedly like on schedule. And I'm just hoping, like, and they did like some sort of PvP kind of tournament at last FanFest. Is that correct?
I was in it.
Oh, were you? Okay, that's great.
Lost my first match.
Yeah, I just want to see how that, like, if they, like, because this is going to be the first FanFest with 4.0 PvP, so we're going to have to see, like, how they kind of like address. Well, people are obviously going to have questions about the PvP as well, and I'm really interested to see, like, when that time comes. I want to see how they
that is a good
deal
point.
with all
I want
that
to see that as well, how that's handled.
Yeah, and I kind of have a little bit of insight on the whole PvP situation when it was going on at FanFest, at least for the NA side. Well, I mean, before like when it happened, I kind of understood how everything went down there, and I think that it should hopefully we're gonna have a lot more organized of a system, just because there's going to be already these official factors going in there, like the team registration, apparently, right? Rinny, you've been so quiet. Do you have any comments on anything that we're talking about?
Not really.
Okay.
I do. I am also excited for FanFest, and I do hope that they do some stuff with PvP, or at least shed some more light on it, because that would be cool. But otherwise,
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about more into community and everything else here. And before we start, I kind of want to make sure that we understand where everybody is standing with the community and PvP from your prospective data centers, right? Thana, just go ahead and just tell me quickly, how do you feel about the EU community with PvP?
I mean, it's in a sorry state, in all honesty. Not just because of what I said in my podcast, for example, but it's also for the fact that what I said is, compared to NA and JP, I feel like a lot of our vets have given up, stopped playing, or just don't care enough anymore. Don't care about the system. They just kind of like go through like zombies and just do it because they've always done it. And the remaining people are few and far between. The beginners seem a bit, and the newcomers seem a bit questionable at times, but that's just an anecdotal thing. I think on the European side, it's I can't say in comparison to NA and JP, because I don't hang out in your tryhard chats, for example.
Okay, yeah.
There's just a massive lack of respect towards other people, and it's sort of like that. If an argument pops up, if anything pops up, it's just like people jumping at each other's throats, basically. And I think that is a pretty big issue. In just like in general in the community, and how we want to move forward, and then bringing in new people. I think that's a big issue.
So constantly people are at each other. Just I lost
Not
because of you.
constantly. That would be an exaggeration. No.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's just when a serious issue just pops up, people are more down to just, you know, getting their boxing gloves on and punching someone in the face rather than being like, hey, okay, I'll listen to what you have to say. I may not agree with it, but I'll listen, rather than being like, you're wrong. You're just
shit
you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. I've played this game for 3 years and you've played it for 6 months. You know better. That type of stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all of the time, but it's just.
I think that's actually relative to almost all of the data centers. I feel like, well, I don't know about Primal. I know Aether in general has a lot of people. The very first thing that will happen after a match ends is like, oh man, this guy sucks. And this guy on my team sucks, or this sucked. I lost because of this. I would have won if it wasn't for this one person, or these two people, or whatever. It's just how it turns out for a lot of matches. I think that's the mentality a lot of PvPers bring, because there has to be a reason why they didn't fail.
Yeah, and that's a people problem. You can't really fix that.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go into the Discord and just hammer a couple nails down and be like, okay, it's fixed now. No, that's a people problem that's always going to be there. But I would just wish that people would be more constructive and understanding when it comes to arguments and whatever else.
Right. And I'm doing my best to do it too. Sometimes, I mean, I'm talking like I'm above all this shit. I'm not.
Yeah, we don't do it.
I mean,
don't do it.
I do this. I get upset. I'm like, man, because it always happens when I feel like I've tried my hardest. Like I've done a match and I've gone in there and I'm like, man, I worked my ass off. I went in there. I made all the right covers. I did the right stuns. I went out and attacked the right person. I saw this situation. I saw it coming and I was prepared for it. I dealt with it and we still lost. But I mean, I'm looking at all these other factors, but of course there's something else I probably could have done. I'm just, in my mind, I'm like, holy crap, I went 100% on this match. I don't know why I lost, so let me look around instead of towards myself, which I do. When I do my PvP streams, I record every single stream, and then I try to go back and look at these moments to say, all right, look, this person died here. What could I have done differently in this situation? Or we killed this person. What could I, or this person didn't die. What could I have done differently to make this person die? And so there's all these different things I can analyze when I'm going back and look at these PvP matches, but I only do that when I do my PvP streams. But Kaze, wow. Kaze, tell me about the Primal community, dude.
Well, I think this actually more applies towards like pretty much the whole PvP community from every data center. It's kind of like, since there are new players playing, new seasons out, everyone's trying to climb. You're gonna obviously, like you guys said earlier, there's gonna be new players and veteran players in the same matches for a little bit, and I feel like that has kind of made people really upset. Just like because we have Discords obviously to like vent about stuff or like talk about like what happened in matches and whatnot, and the more you play, the more you kind of have like a name for yourself. Like it's like, oh, it's that guy, the really bad healer, or it's that guy who just tunnels on a healer kind of thing. It's like you start making a name for yourself, and I feel like that's been happening a lot in season 6, especially just because like everyone obviously wanted to. Like, 'cause season 5 is different because everyone's also learning the new systems and all that. So people didn't really like blame people as much because everyone was learning at the same starting point. Season 6 is kind of where everyone already knows how to play their class. Well, like a lot of the veteran players know how to play their class. So a lot of the newer players, when they start joining into season 6 games, that's when people start getting really upset. I've noticed this from so many of my Primal friends. They all get really like when they lose last second, like they're winning like crazy. They need 25 more medals to like win a match, and then they get reverse sweeped, and it's just like it's so frustrating in those situations. And I've seen quite a bit, like just overall, I think though, for the Primal community, like there are a lot of, should I say, very stupid games. Like they're players that like there will be always players on both teams that you don't want to be paired up with, and there's always players that will just constantly, like, sometimes they're toxic and they're just like they'll mark ignore you, or they'll spam nice job. Like I feel like like even veterans do that sometimes to like new players, and I feel like that shouldn't even be a thing. That like, I find myself doing that sometimes too, and this is when I'm just on the extreme tilt of playing PvP.
So
talking about ignore marks. Sorry. Talking about ignore marks. Yulen has the greatest idea of all time. Top 10 reward is a golden ignore mark. That is the greatest reward idea I've seen in a while.
I think that would have a lot more people trying for top 10 for sure.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That would completely make everyone who hits diamond continue playing because they just got to get that golden ignore mark, right?
Exactly.
But I'll go ahead and put a situation in talking about this ignore mark, right? And just talking about playing with other people in the community. So there was a situation where this guy spammed nice job at the very end of a match, right? And it was clearly towards me. He was upset about something. I can't even remember exactly what it was, but it irritated me so much. And I was just like, man, this is annoying. Again, I tried hard, right? I'm going in there and half-assing it. I went in there and tried. And so when that happened, I got a game in with him again. And just real quick, I was like, oh, look, it's this fuckhead. And so I put an ignore sign on his head, and the guy just sat there, and he wouldn't go for the rest of the match. And so, all right, let's go back into this situation. Afterwards, I had a conversation with him, and I was like, man, what the hell? You just kind of threw that game. I mean, I could tell you the real story about what happened. It's like I put the ignore hand, he stood there, and then the other team came up, and he was still sitting up on our platform, and we're just sitting there, and it hit Coling, and they thought he DC'd or something, and so they were trying to do the nice thing, and they were hanging back, and then all of a sudden he just pops up and kills one of them real quick, and then he just starts going hardcore into it, and we just kind of steamroll the other team, which was really, that started a whole nother situation. Because it's kind of a bad thing. And so I talked to him. It's like, hey, look, dude, that wasn't cool. And we were very angry, yelling at each other and everything else. But in the end, we got to that point to where like, hey, man, look, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't know it was affected you that much that you're so upset about it. Because to me, it didn't make sense they'd be so upset about me putting an ignore marker on his head for a second. But he was really disturbed by it. And so, I mean, there could be other things behind the scene that I don't see, and that's going to completely set this guy off. Because, I mean, we're emotional people. We're humans. And so when you go out there and you do these different things and you spam nice job, you're not just spamming nice job and they're like, oh, okay, whatever. Haha, well, fuck you too. They could be like, God damn it. And they could, like, flip their desk because they just had a bad day, man. You could totally set people off. I mean, and there's also, you don't know who's behind that screen. There could be someone who has some sort of issue. Right? Mentally. There could be something that they're just in their head. They're some sort of deep depression they could be having as well. There's tons of things. And so these reactions, it's better off just to like, I understand you just want to vent and that's your only way to vent is hit that nice job button or hit the ignore. But I mean, just accept it. Scream to yourself. Yell at your screen because that's probably going to be better in the end. Sorry, that's my story. Long-winded story. I'm sorry.
No, and it also just gets really confusing too because the whole point of the quick chat system is to actually use it non-sarcastically. That was the main intention of Square Enix.
Sarcasm's not a thing in Japan, really, or not as much, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. So people using it sarcastically, it really builds that toxicity in the community. Like the new players, when they see the quick chat, they're like, "Oh, look, it's a nice job button." It means like, yeah, we did nice, like a good job, team, right? And there's like a thank you button, there's a hello button, like. And like these new players, when they come into this community, they're kind of like expecting it not to be used sarcastically at first, but then,
oh boy,
as veterans, we tend to have a different use for them with bad experiences. So I feel like if we could all make a change to reduce that amount of toxicity, like no matter how tilted you are, I feel like you shouldn't be using the quick chat with that intent. And
yeah,
I think to starting off would be
the only thing I do is, I mean, one thing that I do a lot actually is if I have, so obviously like I play healer. If I have a DPS that line of sights me or something like that, I use hello because it's my way of trying to like, hello, I'm over here, I can't heal you. Like that's the only time I probably inappropriately use quick chat, I would say. I avoid, I don't even have nice job on my bar.
Oh, I have it there. But I mean, that's so I can use it unironically. I want to use it unironically at the end of the match. Because I'm always like a proponent against like, hey, use nice job to say we did a good job.
But yeah, like I've always wondered if people have like taken that really offensively as like me being a jerk when
Oh,
really
yeah.
like I'm
Oh,
trying
yeah.
I'm just trying to get your attention so I can heal you. So
They
you
take
don't
it
die.
100% negative. Trust me.
150%
But it's just
they
like,
take it that
how
way.
else am I supposed to communicate that? I don't feel like there is a quick chat option for a healer to communicate like, hey, I can't even reach you.
Hey, you're in Afghanistan. I can't reach you. Can you come back? You know?
Yeah.
That's also the problem I have as well. I don't use hello. I don't use nice job, and I don't use thank you unless it's the end of the game, because I feel like everyone on the NA and EU side are going to take that sarcastically, and I'd rather not. The only ping I do quite fervently use is fall back.
So do you use fall back if someone's LOSing you?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to be
I've done
advocating
that
for
too,
recently.
but I've had
Just
the problem
spam
where
it.
everyone else on my team falls back, and it's like I don't need the tank to fall back necessarily.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
is
like,
kind of true.
I just
Right.
need that one person
Yeah, that's
to
what
stop running marathons to another continent so I
or
can
Mario Kart around the
So-
base.
They're chasing. Well, they're just chased the healer, right? And they're like, I'm doing the right
They-
thing. I'm trying to kill the healer. But that's the other part of being good at the game is awareness, right? And
I wonder if like a quick chat button like that would make sense. Like maybe a quick chat that just says like can't heal or
Hello,
something.
get back from
Or
Afghanistan.
group up. Like there should
line
be a
of
group
sight.
up. You know?
Yeah,
And
line of
that's
sight. Maybe I
that's-
don't know.
also what I've been trying to advocate for with the, because a lot of people do not use the quick chat unless if they say nice job. Recently, people have been starting to communicate, hey, attacking range, attacking whatever. People have been starting to do that, but I feel like not a lot of people use it, and that's why people aren't used to them and used to using them and aren't aware of them. And I think fallback to me has like 15 different meanings.
Yeah.
And I think the people who have understood how I use fallback, I do impeccable like teamwork with them. I say fallback, I usually mean it in a way, hey, I don't have line of sight, or I can't heal you effectively, or just look around you and I might be CC'd. People have realized that they don't need to run back to our base the second I use fallback, and they instead I can see it. They look around and be like, okay, he's in trouble, but we're fine. I'll stick in. But sometimes people just realize that, hey, I actually need to fall back.
And
I
one
feel
thing,
like
one thing apparently the Japan data center does that I feel like a lot of people on Aether, I don't know if Chaos or Primal do it yet, or to adopt it, but apparently JP players use hello to signal that their burst is ready. And so people have started doing that now. At least I did some scrims the other night. And yeah, Mateo was using hello every time his burst was ready on Black Mage.
I think that's a troll.
That's a thing on Japan. No, I thought it's true.
Japanese people don't troll. Don't you know that?
It's not troll.
Have you ever been to 2chan?
I don't know if that many
That
people
was a
would be
joke.
trolling, but I've heard that is a signal my burst is ready.
Okay.
And I mean, like Aether players use countdowns. I don't know if JP players use countdowns.
That's where it originated from.
Mm-hmm.
Countdown came from JP's data center.
Okay, yeah. Well.
And that's what I mean. Like, if we start using the count, like the pings more and the quick chat commands more, people kind of get accustomed to them and understand that fallback does not literally mean run to the other side of Afghanistan. It means, hello, I may not be able to heal you if you use it as a healer, and you don't need to fall back that much. Just stick in and see if I'm in trouble. And and other pings as well, or quick chats. People understand that there's more meaning to them than just what we have. But
we need a don't overextend button.
Yeah. We need a lot more, but it's just like for the time being, that would be a lot.
Yeah, I think they do need to update or add to the quick chat options.
And
I mean,
one day we
while
have
there
one more.
are many, I think it's obvious that we're still lacking because it's still really hard to communicate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting better, but it's only getting better between people who have been PvPing for a while.
Yeah.
It's not good between new players, because this is another factor they have to learn, is how to communicate properly and what the norm is for the community you're in for the communication to coordinate everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just about to say, like, I just want to go back to the countdown thing, because people, it's like veteran people use countdowns. Like a lot of good players, they know, like, it's not even a thing that's built into the PvP. People made this, it's a macro that people make, right? So they need to, I feel like, for coordination's sake, for making people play a little bit more like especially DPS, just playing coordinated. They should like the countdown should be a thing accessible to everyone, not just people who know how to make the macro. And I know there have been people who've been asking, they've been seeing it on streams like, oh, that's a cool countdown macro. What is it? And then they'll be like, nice enough to give it out. And I feel like they just need to have like that should be a common, like it should be like in the quick chat or something, just something that you
like Sora was saying in chat was to have an official countdown.
Right, exactly, right.
Yeah.
Oh man, how long did it take for us to get a countdown in game just for PvE?
Well, how long did it take us to get rid of chat? One season.
Man.
So fast as hell.
One season we lost it.
That's what I mean as well about the chat. How do we communicate?
That's another thing. I'm like, I don't know if Square Enix will ever do it, but like one of the things, like, so every time, the PvP community argues, like, give us chat back, right? Like Yoshi has answered a few times that he's like, oh, we have data that proves that like participation increased once we took chat out, right? And so this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier of one thing that I wish they would do is, stagger the ranks more starting out every season. So for example, like, I feel like chat should be unrestricted when you're gold and higher. Like, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Leave chat out for unranked bronze and silver, even though like it would be nice, but like, that I feel like that's a fair compromise. Because if you think chat is the biggest detriment to newer players, then fine, like leave it out for the newer players where, they're still kind of learning. You have the quick chat options, whatever. But that way, it kind of also, caters towards the veterans players too. You kind of get the best of both worlds because then they can actually communicate in the more like high level matches.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would ever do that, but that would be a great system if they did that. Like, just, if you were diamond last season, you start off the next season as gold. If you were platinum last season, you start out the next season as silver or whatever.
I mean, it's not a bad idea, for sure. I mean, and the other thing is, you could just make it to where you just not ban an account, but ban them from chatting in Feast. And that's a level of ban. This guy he was toxic. All right, now he can't talk in Feast anymore for like 3 months.
Also, they could just get. I think it would also help if they added just like a quick mute option. It's like when you play like League of Legends or Dota stuff like that. It's like if you go to the scoreboard, I think it's still like that where you have a mute button next to each player. So it's like if it's really that bad, you can easily mute somebody. Instead of having it taken away from everybody. Yeah. But I mean, they should at least put chat back for like the higher level games because it's obvious that everybody wants it. I don't think I know any like veteran PvP player that does not want chat. And if it is, there's very few of them.
And I've asked Yoshida myself this question, and he easily just came back and said, "Oh, no, we just." And the same thing Rinny was saying. We have data that proves that taking it away was a better thing. But I mean, in the end, he did come back and say that in some of the future, additions to PvP, such as the team registration, that they will probably allow that. And then you go into a custom match right now, it's allowed. You can talk.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking in team fights in the future, they're probably going to allow it because you have to register with people that you know.
Yeah. That would be a bit silly if custom matches didn't allow chat.
Yeah.
Even your own friends can be toxic towards you. We can't have that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like people would be just using like Discord or some voice communication if you're gonna have to register like that, anyways.
Yeah.
So let's talk about custom matches. Let's actually get into. We were talking a little bit about community with EU. We talked a little bit about community with Primal before we got on this huge tangent about communication in general. But Rinny, what's your thoughts on the Aether community after hearing a little bit about EU and Primal?
I wouldn't say it's too much different. I think Aether is probably more active than the other two. And I do think it leans a little bit more on the toxic side as well. I feel like overall I do like the change that Square Enix did where you took to the rank system where now you can only get matched against one rank above or below. Like I think that system is ideal once you're kind of already where you should be, but it has definitely shown to make climbing in the beginning very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like the pain that everybody's feeling right now. Is that it's like you said, it's a roll of the dice. Like matches can be very very random. You feel like you don't really have control in it. It's just, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I feel like people have been getting very frustrated. I think that's the general theme in Aether right now, is just like people being frustrated at like how hard the climb is right now. It's like people are just like, I just need to get to gold. Like I need to get out of silver, because when you're in silver, it just feels like, oh my god,
it's pretty bad. Because
you're mixed bag. It's
well, I mean, the way that they do the matchmaking, if you're silver, you're going to be put together with people who are unranked because they're trying to balance it out. And so you're going to be the best person on your team and with people who have never played at all.
But to also like shed some light on the positives, I do think Aether has gotten more involved as a community, especially when it comes to Light Party, and definitely like props to like, you know, Mateo, Nikosa, and Sin, and such as people behind like Aether League and setting up scrims and stuff like that. I think they've been adding more of a focus to that in the Aether community. People talk about it more, and it's kind of nice to have something that's like more positive, and people getting more involved. Like I know when they were kind of introducing Aether League this season, you know, they expected at least like a couple more teams to get involved. I think like you know, Sin said something like, you know, he expected maybe 5 or 6 teams, but then it's like we ended up having like 10 or more teams sign up, and it was amazing. So it shows that like there are a lot more people getting involved, and like getting interested in Light Party. And I think it's definitely like, if people haven't tried it before, it's definitely something that you should try out, because it's way more fun. I enjoy Light Party so much more than solo queue. And if I could play it more often than solo queue, I totally would.
That's why I never touched solo queue in season 1. Never.
But it's but it's just, I mean, but it sucks that, you know, like there's only a solo queue ladder. There's no Light Party ladder anymore. So I think that's one of the problems. A lot of people feel like, oh well, there's no incentive to Light Party, right? The only incentive right now is Aether League, which is community driven.
Yeah. Which they're doing a really great job behind, and I'm happy that we're able to have something like that going on, because I think if we start introducing more of the data centers into Aether League, which, you know, I don't want to talk for Sin or anyone else about the situation, but I mean, once that like can expand a little bit more, then you have more than 10 teams. You have like 20 teams.
It's like, yeah. I can touch on that a little bit if you want.
Go ahead.
So I actually had a really long talk with Sin one day, because he was kind of giving me his ideas. And you know, I think he came to me because it was around the time that I created Wolf Pups then, and he kind of saw how the server was doing and that there was a lot of new players coming in. And I think one thing people definitely felt, you know, when this season of Aether League was starting out, was like, you know, we do want more like new players coming in, but it is intimidating for them to have to play against some of like the higher ranked teams and stuff like that. Like, so I think the future of Aether League, there are 2 things that I think Sin wants to kind of take the direction. One, we want to open it past Aether. So instead of it just being Aether League, maybe like a global PvP league, we do want to involve Chaos and Primal, and maybe even Japan, even though that would be a little more difficult. But I do think his end goal is to have Aether League expand to all data centers, so that we have, you know, ongoing leagues for all data centers. So I mean, I know that that's his plan. And like one thing I would personally like to see, which, you know, I'm not sure how much development on the idea there has been, but I think it would be great if there was like an amateur league. And I think that's something that they wanted for this season, but there weren't enough people. So one thing I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but before Aether League started, they were doing scrim nights just to kind of like, you know, increase the hype for it and like get people to kind of dip their feet if they hadn't tried Light Party before and stuff like that. And a lot of people were signing up in that Google Doc. And one thing that we saw were there were 2 players, I believe, that were silver that signed up, which was surprising. But then it sucked because it was like we didn't have enough people to put them on a team together, or, you know, they wouldn't really have competition either, because it's like, how do you put a silver team against a bunch of diamond veterans, right? And so one of the goals that I have also with Wolf Pups then is, you know, I definitely want to get more people excited and interested into Light Party so we can try to create an amateur league. And I think, you know, you separate the amateur league from kind of like a lot of the teams that are in Aether League right now. That way they can still experience what it's like to compete and play on a team and play in this tournament without necessarily being discouraged of, like, you know, being put against players who are much more experienced than them.
I'd be happy to join your amateur league. I would be happy.
Wait, what?
I mean that's another thing. Like, that's like, it's like there are even like a couple of teams, or not even more than a couple teams. Like, I think there are even players who are in Aether League right now who could like benefit from more of like an amateur league. It's like, I feel that way sometimes too, because like this is like my first season. So some of the times, you know, even though like I have a pretty good team, like I get really intimidated playing against some of the players who are way more experienced than me, because I feel like it's very obvious when I play against them. But I think it's just like, as much as like a lot of these things are nice haves, it's like, it's not something you could just have right away. It's like a gradual thing, because we just, I mean, when it comes down to it, we need more people involved.
The community needs to grow.
Be more. Yeah, like, that's the thing, is like, I really hope kind of like the amateur scene grows so an amateur league can actually happen, right? But it's like, we need people to actually be interested and want to do it for it to happen.
Yeah, and I think that would be actually very interesting, just to have different levels out there, because when you do have the one league, which I think that's the thing that we experience the most, and you have people who are like in there like ECF that just go in there and destroy any other team that just doesn't have like the proper experience in there to do Light Party. Like, they've talked, they communicate, they know how to communicate with other people perfectly fine. And these other people, like my team, for example, we're still learning how to communicate properly with each other. But once we go against a team that knows how to communicate, we just get destroyed. It's not even like a thought to it. They just go in there and they're like, I know exactly how to end this match. They go in there, kill the person. There's almost nothing we can do about it, because we just don't have the communication.
Season 1 Light Party in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it sucks. It sucks. It does. And this is something that I've always thought would be interesting, is, you know, just have a night, say, all right, Friday night, fight night, dude. We just get a whole bunch of people together, and then we random up against who can go against who. And then people of all different skills and levels. It's kind of like it's actually Light Party, and you can use comms for it. And you don't have a team going into it. You just get people who want to be in the same, who want to be a part of it and work with 3 other people through voice.
And there's a lot of like team chemistry, as you could say it. People have been playing together in other leagues, like Aether Cup, for example, or they've been playing in Light Party together before. So there are some teams out there that have that already, like, set team chemistry, whereas there's like a lot of new teams that were made. My team is new for Aether League, and it's very nice seeing like people, like new players coming together, making teams, trying out this new like Light Party stuff. I feel like it's a stepping stone, and I feel like we can't really see this as like a result, more as like a halfway progress report, kind of seeing if we can continually improve. And I'm really looking forward to the next Aether League season, where hopefully more players will be involved after they see this season. And I'm just really rooting for the PvP community to continue to grow, and I really hope that the Square Enix team and Yoshida can really see that. And
yeah, I'm also hope. Yeah, go ahead. Good.
About Light Party, does anyone else feel like I've seen this comparing to other PvP scenes and whatever? Does anyone else feel like that there's a lack of motivation to go for Light Party and like coordinated play with the community? I mean, obviously season 1 and 2 were a bit different, and season 3 and 4 as well. There weren't. This just like the amount of coordinated teams and just teams queuing in general was like 0.0001% of the actual player base that took part in solo queue. And I know that's a lot partly due to the fact that solo queue is so accessible and you don't need to go into light party. That's a lot of effort. But it just seems weird that the Final Fantasy 14 PvP community or community at all just does not seem interested in light party at all. I know the way it was handled before probably deterred a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
But it's weird to me. I've never seen it elsewhere.
I don't think it's weird, to be honest. Like, if you think about it, like even look at like the popular MOBA games, right? Like League of Legends and stuff like that. So I don't want to comment on League of Legends because I haven't played it in a while. But the MOBA that I played more recently was Heroes of the Storm, and they actually made changes to ranked. Like at one point, you used to be able to queue into solo queue as a duo, and now you can't do that anymore. You can only queue solo, and then it's like you must be a party of, I think, 3 or higher to queue into Team League. So they have a ranked team ladder as well, and I would say that ladder is way less popular than solo queue. In the end, a solo queue ladder is always going to be more popular because it's more easily accessible. It's like it's less, it takes less organization and commitment from people. You just queue up and that's it, right? Anytime you have any sort of team system, it's like, you have to get people to gather at the same time. You have to find people to team with and stuff like that. It's like, so I understand why like Square Enix took it out in a way, but I do wish that they did something else to compensate for it. Like one thing that I would really like to see is like if Square Enix did what Aether League is doing. So it's like, yeah, maybe you don't have a team queue, like a team ladder, because there's not enough people playing for it to be active enough. But, it would be nice if there was like more community focus on light party because it has so much potential. The games are so much more exciting and it has this thriving community. And it's just like, but that's a lot of the time why community driven events happen. It's a lot of times it is kind of up to the community to create these things. So, I mean, as much as as much as it would be ideal for me to see like more incentive for light party, like I kind of understand why it's not there, because it's just like I don't think the numbers are there in terms of how many players play for it to be successful right now.
To me, it just seems like it's like exclusive to Final Fantasy 14, but that's just my personal,
Well, I mean, there isn't like when you talk about teams with games like Heroes of the Storm, there's organized events where people make money off of winning as a team. Right now, what do you get for organizing a team? You get to go in and you get to be part of a community event. It's not like there's some grand prize where people are like, yeah, man, let's get a team together. Let's try and let's just have fun and go up there and see what we can do. And maybe we can get this grand victory, or we can join a professional esports team. So if in that situation, it's more, attractive to be in an organized team with bigger games like that. Final Fantasy 14.
One thing I think that would be really cool is like, okay, so maybe they don't need to do like an ongoing team league or tournament or whatever. But I think one thing that would be really cool if Square Enix could do is just like how they had the Feast tournament at FanFest. Like, it would be really cool if they had maybe once a year, like a light party tournament at some sort of event, whether it would be PAX or FanFest or whatever, where it's like we actually see like the organized light party teams like compete against each other. But then obviously that'd be a little more difficult because it would require people to attend the event.
I think the best way to do it would be have like an ongoing, like let's say a 6-month period where there would be a lot of LAN tournaments that you could participate into. This is way too much right now to even consider Final Fantasy 14. I'm just saying the best way to do it would be for the community. I'm just saying like this would be an ideal thing to have, is like a 6-month ongoing thing. You can participate as a team. You can have go into LAN tournaments, and then at the end of it, it culminates into a FanFest tournament.
Well, I mean, I think they're going in that direction, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That would be great to have, but that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, I mean, they're going in a direction of some sort of like putting people against other people online, and then going from that towards like a FanFest tournament or something.
I think like an online qualifier would be like really good, just for that kind of like tournament style. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, I just also wanted to like, because Final Fantasy 14 is obviously PvE first, MMO first, PvP second, and them having to cater to the PvE players to get them motivated to try out PvP. That's kind of like one of the throttling reasons for the lack of, you know, PvP players, because people, if they wanted to play PvP, they would go play League of Legends, or they'd go play Dota or Overwatch or something like that. But people play the MMO for the MMO aspect, right? And I feel like it's so hard to branch out to those players. That's why our community is so small, and I feel like they already include PvE rewards to like PvP, and that's kind of the incentive there, and I don't really like it.
I don't necessarily agree with that, to be honest. I feel like I don't have too much experience playing other MMOs, but from what I've heard from those who have, PvP is a really, really big aspect of MMOs. It's just not for Final Fantasy 14. And the reason that it's not for Final Fantasy 14 is because it started off with that reputation, right? Because they didn't really have it right off out the gates. Like, they did have Wolves Den, but Wolves Den didn't do well. Wolves Den was like a flop. Yeah. And so that's the thing, is Wolves Den set the precedent for PvP in Final Fantasy 14, and it was kind of like a meme. So yeah, so that's kind of what started it, is like we started with Wolves Den, and everybody was just like, oh yeah, Final Fantasy 14 PvP is a joke, and blah, blah, blah. And the problem is there are probably hundreds, maybe thousands of players who still have that impression because they've never bothered to try it again, because that's the precedent that was set, right? It's just, so that's the thing, is like, yeah, when you talk about Final Fantasy 14, PvP is not one of the first things that people will talk about, right? But I think that's not the case for some other MMOs. Like, for some other MMOs, like, PvP was really successful. Like, I know Arena and WoW did pretty well, and I know a lot of people talk about like Star Wars, Old Republic, or whatever, like that having a really good PvP. So,
well, I mean, those games didn't start out with like, I mean, it did have PvP, but it was all open world PvP. It wasn't like coordinated stuff. And then you got into Battlegrounds. Then you start getting into Arena, and then you start getting all these other stuff. Like, WoW's evolution in PvP was very slow as well.
Yeah, you were exposed to
I think someone said it only started in Burning Crusade or something like that. I don't know. I didn't play WoW.
No,
so.
the world PvP was huge in vanilla WoW. Like, that was that was huge.
Like, Torin Mill, that was PvP for WoW. I mean, that's all it was.
Sure. Shit.
Yeah.
Like, I do think PvP is usually a focus in most MMOs. It's just, it's whether the devs were successful with it or not. And I think the problem is that they were not successful with it out the gate with Final Fantasy 14.
I mean, I could already come up, like, I have like 2 to 3 things that they could easily do that would help with the PvE, PvP player crossover and spillover.
So I'm going to let you do that. And then after you do that, we're going to get into questions and start wrapping up, because I didn't even realize it's almost been 2 hours now.
I just noticed.
But yeah, no, go over those real quick. And then I do want to make sure we hit the viewer questions before we wrap up the show.
So basically, the first thing I would say is, where are the rewards for the lower guys? The guys who cannot get above gold, for example. The weapons are a great start, but where's the rest of it? If you get gold 2 times in the season, you get 1 weapon. Other than that, you don't get jack shit. How is that compelling for a lot of people? You know, a lot more compelling rewards for the lower guys who cannot reach at the current moment, or just can't at all get to the top rankings, get to top 100, and get those sick rewards. What about those guys? What about the small guys? They're basically the 99% of the player base. Why don't they get anything? Why do they get?
Well, they get mounts, achievements.
Yeah, but that's very minimum. That's a very slight reward. That's what I mean. Like, more compelling rewards for active play, so that, because, like, for example, last season, the last 2 months below gold, everything was dead. I think that would also help with that a lot, so that we have, I mean, rating decay as well, but more compelling rewards for the lower guys, not just for the higher guys. As much as we want to talk about top 10 and top 100, the lower guys and the guys that aren't that great matter as just as much. So they need rewards as well to keep them interested and compelled to play. Second, they changed the fact in Stormblood that gear doesn't affect in PvP and everything is stat-based, stat template-based.
Mm-hmm.
Why at the same time do you change the PvP gear to be nothing but like glamour sticks? That doesn't make any sense, because if you get like a compelling reward, let's say an eye level 315 piece from PvP, that could easily be compelling for the PvE players to come in, do a couple PvP games, get a piece for their ult or whatever, and they play like 5 games. They're like, hey, this is actually pretty cool. I might stick with this. This would help with the spillover coming from PvE to PvP, as well as PvE guys or PvP guys having like competent gear so that they don't come in like 290 greens into like a dungeon or expert roulette. So that they would be more incentivized to also like do PvE, like the 0.1% that actually do nothing but PvP would get competent gear so that they can actually participate in PvE.
So are you saying like you think gear should matter in PvP?
No. That's not what I mean. I mean like PvP gear should have stats so that you can bring it over to PvE.
Oh, yeah. No,
so
I agree with that.
Competent gear in PvE just by playing PvP, and that would help with PvE players coming over, trying it out, maybe liking it, getting a couple gear pieces, gearing their alts, whatever, and they might end up liking it. And that's, I don't understand. That's like such contradictory. You make it so the stats don't, or gear doesn't affect PvP, but at the same time, PvP gear just becomes useless. Like anyone who grinded out all of the gear at the start of the expansion, what's their incentive to PvP? They don't have any rewards anymore.
Well, I mean, they could also just increase the amount of rewards they give out besides just weapons for the tokens, right? Yeah, and so, like, I mean, Gold Saucer, there's a plethora of stuff you can get for doing Gold Saucer stuff, right?
Wow. That's what I mean. More rewards. Like, where is all the rewards? There's nothing basically for anyone who doesn't get to top 100.
Yeah, and then like this season or last season, a lot of people are like, I don't really care about the rewards.
That's why season 6 is so quiet for a lot of data centers. Well, every single data center, I think, is
the rewards are not exciting. I think a lot more people tried Feast when like the Hellhound was the reward, because everybody wants mounts.
Yeah, actually, no. I was talking to when I had the discussion with 5150, and we were talking about rival wings. I asked them, do you think that's going to be popular over there? And they said, well, they give away a mount for it, and everyone in Japan, all they care about is mounts, and so everyone is going to do it because they want the gorilla mount carrying you around.
Yeah, that's a good incentive, for example. But we just need more of those to actually keep people like playing actively.
Yeah,
active participation reward.
I found the Hellhound armor, everything like really underwhelming. I'm like, I would never use this.
Hey, if you dye it white, it looks swag on me. Okay.
Yeah, but I play a little like cute Lalafell girl, and
who cares about you? Whatever.
You know what? Shut up.
No one cares about Lalas anyways.
Yes, they do.
They only play Lalas so people can't click on them.
Also, like,
no, I play Lalas because I'm like a Lala in real life.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone's aware of the WoW PvP system. You have like a prestige system, so you can level up. It fills the XP bar. It resets and you get another reward. That sort of like active rewards as well would be great. So
that'd be good. Utilizing the PvP levels,
so that you don't get to top 100, top 10, whatever. You just stay there because you don't have any incentive to play anymore.
Yeah. And this rank decay is something they've discussed about too, with the people who are just kind of they might do it, and I'm ready for it to happen. There's a lot of different things they can change. I hope that again, you have someone kind of dedicated to communicate all that stuff out, and they're like, hey, this is the person, when he says something about PvP, I'm going to pay attention because this guy is heavily involved in making sure that the community understands what's going on with the PvP community. But that's just, they would need the resources to do it. They would need some sort of plan for it and everything else. Okay, did you have any more, Thana, that you wanted to throw in?
No, that was like basically like more compelling rewards for the lower guys is number one in a nutshell. Number two is make PvP gear matter in PvE, even if it doesn't do anything. Gear doesn't do anything in PvP. Yeah. And then third is more like active play rewards, so like a prestige system or something like that. I think those three things would like immensely help the queues and just the player base to grow as well.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into some of these questions now. I'm going to go ahead and just go over to it, and we'll start it. Just because we are running short on time now, but I do want to hit these questions. This is one actually dedicated to Kaze. And it's a serious question, which I was really surprised. For some reason, I thought you were going to get troll questions Kaze.
I thought I was gonna get troll questions too, but yeah, okay.
Okay, so the question is, you started PvP midway through the last season and quickly made a name for yourself as one of the best range players on Primal. You're a well-known name in Aether as well. What did you do, or what do you think you did to help you climb through the ranks so quickly, and any advice for players who are looking to improve?
Well, I actually didn't really realize that my name was like pretty prevalent out there for being a ranged DPS. I only started PvPing on Bard because my Bard was level 60, and I was like, I need to level this class, so I just started playing ranked Feast with Bard. But I myself, it's a lot of factors really. Like I got really good exposure to starting off out at Feast. Like I learned really quickly because my raid group was pretty much just telling me like how to play Feast, what I should do, what I shouldn't do. So I got a lot of like strong base in the PvP.
PvE boyos taught you?
I'm sorry.
PvE.
Yeah,
boyos taught you how to PvP.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they played some PvP too, and they were kind of the reasons why I started PvPing, and so essentially that, and I really enjoy winning. Like I have a really, really competitive aspect to me. If you were to so choose to like pry it out of me, like I'll play like really hard. So just all those factors combined was kind of the reason why I started playing a lot of like I started to pick up Feast a little more. I just got a lot of practice. I started streaming a little bit just to show people like how I played, because people wanted to see, and that kind of just motivated me to play a little more. And then eventually, like that's how I started to learn myself as well, of like there's like little details here and there. So it's so hard to say. Everyone has a different story when, like, I don't know, rising to fame, I guess.
Rising to fame, Kaze. I'm ready for the documentary. Oh, Jesus Christ, Kaze, man.
I mean, it's I don't know. It's hard to say. Everyone has their way to climb. And like the base thing I would say is to keep a positive attitude no matter how tough the times are. Just keep working towards like learning a class. Always be open to improvement, and try to form networks with people. Try to connect with people. They might have different like perspectives on how PvP is played, and you can obviously talk. Like I've had countless discussions on my stream about like the current PvP and all that, and it's really enlightened me, because there's been aspects where I was certainly wrong initially. So I'm really happy that people brought up different.
And streaming is actually pretty good if you have people who will watch your stream for you, because people will call you out on stuff, and I mean, it's good to be called out on stuff. Because it makes you understand, and then you can easily just go back to the VOD and look at it and be like, all right, well, let me look at this. You're wrong. You're stupid. Let me show you. And then you realize you were wrong, and then you start trying to fix it going forward in the future.
Absolutely.
All right, Sicko, I got a question. Has a question for Thana. Are you ready?
Hello, I got a question.
I am personally a big fan of your YouTube PvP guides, and one of the more recent healing or ones for beginning healers, you mentioned you could send clips, or people could send you clips. However, there seems to be very few new healers on Chaos, if any, in comparison to other roles. Did players react to that at all? Are new players engaging you at all about starting out as a healer?
About the clips? Engaging me about the clips. Let me go through my Discord, boys.
Did you ignore them all and you just haven't responded to them?
No, I've responded to every single person who has come to. And actually, I have a secret weapon on Chaos that has garnered some good attention from a lot of people, people have started calling my disciple a god for whatever reason. One of the people that I helped out has apparently become a god now. So,
okay.
They're gonna beat me soon as well. So I've had about, rough estimate would be something like 12 people come to me asking for like guidance personally, and then send me like clips. And not a lot of people want their clips to be shown in a video, because I also said in that video that I would love to do, and I did that back in Heaven's Word with my own clips. I would love to do sort of like an analysis video, analysis type of video where I go through like, hey, this is what you kind of do wrong, like don't backpedal, for example. We could show that, and it's a lot easier for a lot of newer people to kind of recognize that and get on the same level as they watch someone who is on the same level as they are, and watch me kind of like break that down, and so like understand what they're doing, and they say, hey, I do that as well. Whereas if I go through my clips, it's kind of like I can only say, this is what I could have done a bit better, but like this is where you could have fucked up and whatever else. So it's a lot better of a learning experience for, I think, a lot of new people if I get like beginner clips and I could analyze those. And a couple of people have said that I have a go on doing that on their clips, and I'm very appreciative of that. And if anyone is watching, like, you can send me healer clips all day. I'll go through them and help you out. And
there you go. Anyone who's interested in getting into healers and getting into healing, please, dear God, try to get better and do these things that he's asking you to do, because I would love it if I got you on my team as someone who actually was trying and communicating with other players on how to get better, instead of just bashing your head into a wall every time. So
yeah, and it's a lot. It's also very comforting because, you know, it's a bit of a, you know, you're constantly in the back of your mind. You're like, was the advice that I give like good? Was it relevant? Was it like helpful in any way? And then when the people come back to you and see like, hey, I saw massive progress. I see massive like increase in my ability to keep my team alive. That's like one of the best feelings in this whole thing about making guides and helping people. When people come back to you with results, that's amazing. Especially Sylvia God.
But someone just asked me when you were gonna get unbanned in your chat. Did I just banned him?
Oh, when he stops AFKing when someone picks up his defense buff, I will unban him.
Okay, all right. This is a question I think for everyone, but I'm gonna ask Rinny more or less. What do you think about the medal system, and what do you think about Square Enix servers? I think I'll just stick to the medal system because the servers are what they are, I think. But Rinny, what do you think about the medal system in Feast?
I don't know. I think the medal system is okay. I just think there needs to be more, like I said, like more awareness to players of like, because I think people are in earlier ranks are very quick to pick up those medals. Like people love picking them up, whereas you know, I don't know. So I mean, I think the medal system is okay, but it's like I've definitely been on the receiving end of some of those games where like you are winning the entire match and then you just lose in the last minute or 30 seconds because you have all these medals, and it's like it becomes impossible to continuously heal all of that. And then you just lose. And so that feels kind of crappy.
Yeah, it's tough in like even matches where both teams are even. Whoever has the medals at the end is completely at risk of losing.
Yep.
And it sucks
because people know that it's like it's more of a thing in higher end games, right? Like people, I've seen it in lower rank like I've had matches where, so when I was climbing, I think I was bronze or something, I had a tank that 10 stacked, but the other team wasn't attacking him, and I was just like, I am really lucky because
they're afraid of that guy.
But it's like you keep that cannot fly in higher rank games, right?
Yeah. But I mean, 10 stacks
gives you more power, you know?
Yeah, like rival wings.
We can't hit that guy. He's gonna instantly.
But that's why, like, I feel like the medal system has been even more figured out by the community. I mean, like, again, I've only been playing for a season, so I couldn't say for sure. But like, you know, a lot of the high end players like know how to play around that so that they avoid. Like, you'll see it actually in Aether League, especially in Light Party. Whereas instead of killing different targets and just like stacking the medals, like a lot of times their focus will to be killing one person repeatedly.
That's the best way to go about it. Yeah,
it is the best way. And that it's like, you know, if a 25 stack drops and then the healer picks it up so they don't one stack.
Yeah.
And like stuff like that. So I mean, I think the medal system is okay. I think it's just, I mean, I personally wouldn't know how to make it better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but what the chat is saying is very relevant. It doesn't support the new system as well as it did. Like before, you didn't have as many landslide matches as you do now, so it's
Right.
imbalanced now in the current system. But
I don't know. I feel in solo queue it's a little bit more difficult, but in like higher tier games, again, like when people know what they're doing and it's coordinated, these are diamond players, and you just kill the same person over and over again, the most you're going to get is a 1 stack on a tank, which is a good thing, because if you're attacking the tank the entire time, usually they have methods to make it to where you're wasting your DPS. Like shield off, you're just hitting the shield off the entire time. You're not really getting that much of a benefit out of it. And so if the other player team is good, then they should be okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just Square Enix's attempt at like balancing solo queue. It's like it's like the whole medal system. I feel like is supposed. It's like a balancing system, and I don't know if it's like if we should have an option to turn it off in like custom matches or something like that. Just because I feel like if games were probably, I don't know, like this is very controversial, like from what I've been thinking. I don't know, what do you guys think in terms of...
But if you turn it off, then how would we know who wins?
Well, no, you would still get the medals, you just don't get stacks.
Yeah, like you would
like
still get the medals, but you just never get to the point. Like you drop more medals, like you become priority kill or something. You just don't get, I guess, you don't get the vulnerability stacks. But then again, the tank would pick up all the medals at that point, usually. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but in the new system, you can still delete tanks in
I think the medal system is fine. I think just like they need to put in more tools to kind of like. God, I don't know. Like, you know how there's now a message where if you queue in for a duty and your gear is low, it's like one or more pieces of your gear is noticeably low. Like, it would be cool if they implemented some sort of system message like that for people that overstack medals. Like,
you're now at 10% vulnerability.
Yeah, you are now in danger of, like,
your screen starts flashing red, and it's just like, you're gonna die!
Like, some sort of indication of, like, hey,
you think people read these messages? I mean, if they did, they would understand. They could read their T-puffs and figure it out.
It's just like a lot of this could be just alleviated by an obligatory. I can't pronounce that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, it's like, okay. I don't pronounce things either.
My bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's like a tutorial that forces you to kind of go through that and read that. Like you need to understand. If you pick up above 5 stacks, a random fucking Bahamut comes and wipes your ass and be like, no, kid, no,
idiot.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go through 3 more questions here to finish up the show. One is their name is a raid healer, so I'm sure that's what their name is. Is if you could tell a super casual PvPer one thing, what would it be? And we're not going to say medals because we've already talked about it.
What was the question?
A super casual PvP player. If you could tell super casual PvP players one thing, what would you tell them?
That they need to know.
Yeah, basically.
Oh my god. I mean, it depends so much on role, but I don't think there's like one unifying factor for every single role, other than
like I'd just say do your research.
Yeah.
Before you go
yeah. I'd say that's the most important. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Rinny?
Even though it's so like I don't know. I've just saying do your research is especially they don't give out the resources as like accessible. It's just so like if people want to just PvP, like super casual PvP, right? Like, do they want to improve or are they just having fun? And
just someone who's currently casual and they can improve their gameplay by knowing this one simple, easy trick.
Yeah. If they really wanted to improve, I'd say, do your research.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to the website and read the god awful guide.
Honestly, that expands outside of Feast too. Like I feel like I've been getting frustrated even in just like Rival Wings games because I feel like it's just like people just did not bother to even know what they're supposed to do, and it gets really annoying.
Rival Wings drama.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
best.
No, it's just like
No,
there are some just
Joke.
like there are very basic things that you should know in Feast, like don't 10 stack metals. There are some very basic things you should know in Rival Wings, like don't like suicide your oppressor into the enemy without any backup. Like it's just like yeah, it's like seems like it's common sense, but I see it happen almost every match.
I am big robot. I am invincible. Do not tell me what to do.
Okay. Kaze, here's a question for you. Can you get I don't know what his name is, Blob Koi. Can you get me some maple syrup?
Yeah, I mean, if you come up to Canada, yeah, I can give you some maple syrup for sure.
Okay.
Wait, you're Canadian?
I mean, couldn't you tell by the way I say out?
Aw, so
No, I can't actually tell that much. I'm sorry. I can't differentiate that
Can you say
much.
something's about?
About,
Okay, there you
Oh
go.
my.
I hear it. I
About-
hear it.
There you go.
out and
My
about.
respect for you just like rose like 100-fold.
Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it.
Unlike Frosty.
Why is the majority of everyone who lives in Canada? Why are they all like trollers or memers?
Really?
I feel like
Huh?
that's the case.
That's just Americans doing that to them, to be honest.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's just a heavy American.
Frosty.
I
It's
think
you.
it's just Americans are jerks.
Suddenly this turned into teasing Frosty.
Okay, it's every single day of my life, dude. Jeez, you know what happens? Like, I did nothing to Rin at all. Absolutely nothing. And then she starts posting these, like, BS things about, oh, Frosty Mog toxic. I'm like, come on,
Oh,
man.
who started
Rin!
that?
Rin,
Who started
come on,
that?
Rinny.
DM.
Frosty
Mother-
started that shit.
Motherfucker.
He was the one that did it. It's
I'm
pinned
innocent.
in Tryhard. It is pinned in Tryhard. He did it. Not me.
I didn't say anything. I just wrote a message that you put down there when you left Gilgamesh about how you
Totally.
thought they sucked completely and they need to get good, and that's why you left. So I mean,
Damn.
Maybe I was just talking about you.
oh fuck you. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. Enough teasing. One last question here. Do you guys think if we could have? Do you think we could have more trying? I think that's a typo. More people playing or trying PvP. There we go. If the weapons were better, had glowy effect, flashing. When the Hellmount came out,
Yes.
a lot of people asked where I got it, and they were like, maybe I should try PvP. So maybe if the weapons stood out more, maybe if they were like the Bahamut ultimate weapons that were like nothing but fireworks and gold.
Yeah,
That-
just
that's
kinda
what they
goes
should
back
be,
to
in all
Thana's
honesty.
point. Like,
And-
yeah.
Why is the fucking paladin weapon a pickaxe?
Yeah, I know. I looked at it. I was like, do I really care about getting a pick for my paladin weapon?
Hello.
And I can't even
Jesus
glamour this
Christ.
on my minor. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at like the ultimate coil weapons compared to like the Hellhound ones.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Like
The
what?
Bahamut weapons are insane.
Why would I mean? I know a lot of people don't like the Bahamut weapons because they don't like the
They don't
super
like the
crazy stuff.
skin.
Yeah, and they think it's overly gold. It's like it still stands out. People know you did ultimate if they see that. They're gonna ask, and it's obvious. Like that's like you can start a conversation right there. Be like, "Yep, I'm one of like 100 people who've ever cleared this fight," and so it's pretty awesome. I wish they did that a little bit more with PvP too, because
I would like a variety of rewards as well, where you can actually choose stuff.
yeah.
Because yeah, I think it's like the rewards right now are too, I don't know.
Too lackluster.
Yeah, lackluster, linear, whatever.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's the last question I'm going to ask. There's a couple other questions in there that are like would provide another hour of the show, so I'm not going to ask them right now. I mean, you guys can ask these guests in their own streams as well if you'd like to. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping up the show. And in doing that, I want everybody here that's on the show to kind of do any kind of last words they want to do and a shout out to kind of where they can find them. And I'm going to start here with, you know what? Let's start with Kaze. Kaze, could you go first here? Where can people find you and what shout outs do you want to do?
Well, yeah, you can find me on my stream. It's listed below on the bottom left there, Musical Notesy. I don't stream as much as I used to. Well, for like a little bit of the week. I'm currently in exams, so I haven't been haven't had time.
You haven't
to
been
stream.
time, okay.
I haven't. I can't English.
That's
Sorry.
okay, me either.
Seems like
though.
it's like a trend in this stream.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I tend to play Bard and a little bit of White Mage here and there. So if you guys want to check me out, there's my stream. I'm on Primal, on the Primal data center on Excalibur. So if you want to come say hi, feel free. It's Kaze Hishiro. I think I'm somewhere on the leaderboards if you don't know it.
You might know me from the leaderboards.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me.
Okay. All right. And then Thana, you want to go next?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, my good friend Zevirot in the chat. This Nigerian Prince accent is for you, my friend. I love you, my man. I love how you call me mommy every time you raid. He's in my raid, by the way, if you didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, shout out to like Rin and Corey for making the Wolves Pop then Discord. I really appreciate this like more positive move in the community, and I really want to like tip my hat to you guys. That was I've been thinking about making something like that, but at least someone did it, and I'm very grateful to you guys. And who else? My FC leader, aka my co-partner in crime, Tohu Abohu, aka just the two of us who are in the FC. The PvP link show that we have on servers. Come say hi if you're in servers. You want to get into PvP. Join up. Come say hi. Come find me or whatever. And yeah, just everyone who watches my streams and my YouTube guys and sends me, questions about what they could improve and send video clips to analyze and everything. Just supports me in general. Thank you.
Where can they find you at?
They can find me. I'm pretty sure you have my stream.
Yeah.
You can find my stream right under my name, and basically in my information tabs or whatever, you can find my YouTube channel where I have the guides or whatever, and my Twitter, which has been dead for about 2 months now, because I just it's weird because Europeans just don't use Twitter a lot.
Do they not?
I don't know what it is. At least Finnish people, like nobody uses Twitter over here. Nobody. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, YouTube channel, Twitch, fun. You love mine.
There you go.
Cam.
It's right below your face.
Yes.
All right. And Kaze, you didn't really shout out anybody. Did you want to shout out anybody?
Oh yeah, I did want to shout out actually to a couple people. I want to first shout out first and foremost to my raid group that actually got me into PvP. More specifically, Shilimaru, Snow-chan, and less PvP influence, but they still did it too. It was Lily Allen and Minnie Mouse also there too. So thank them for.
They got a slightly weaker shout out, not as important shout out. Okay.
It was like accumulation of everyone playing that kind of got me into it too. So they had some big impact in my PvP career. So. Okay. I also want to give a shout out to Miyuki Tsukiyomi from. He's Shale and Kim in Aether League, so I want to give him a shout out too. And also, I wanted to give another warm shout out to Migi Moog, because I know she was the one who asked for the maple syrup. And
yes. That sounds kinky.
What?
It's pretty common maple syrup in Canada, And
common in those things. Okay, you're weird, dude. Holy shit!
You got me. But yeah, no, there's just so many people that deserve a shout out. It's just like in my head right now. They're just I'm kind of fried from this exam and from like the interview and stuff. And I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course.
On MogTalk, so yeah.
Of course, man. All right, Rinny, you want to go?
Yeah, you can. I don't stream too often either, but my stream is Renoa, so you can find me sometimes there. If not, you can always find me in the Wolf Pups Den Discord. I don't know if you mind posting the link, Frosty, but yeah, let me put it in chat.
There's no limits on it. You can do it.
Yeah, there's the link to Wolf Pups Den. If anyone has any questions or need help, feel free to message me, and I will in any way that I can. Shout out first and foremost to my Aether League team, Team Hell Yeah. And speaking of, we have a couple of matches tonight, so be sure to tune in and watch. So shout out to Praisal, Siren, and Nepu because we are playing 2 matches tonight. Good luck. And then shout out to my free company, Heavenistic Chaos on Cactar, except Angelus because he sucks. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, excellent.
And by the way, if you guys aren't already tired of my voice, I'm also going to be shoutcasting those games tonight. So the first game starts at 6 PST.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested.
So in like 30 minutes? Oh, no, it's an hour and 30 minutes. Okay,
an hour and 30. That's right.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys all coming on. You guys have been fantastic to talk with, and I wish I could spend more time talking with you guys. Yeah. Thana, I'll probably have you come on again because you brought a camera. So
you gotta be in a good.
No, you guys have been excellent, and it's always wonderful to have you on, Rinny. Even though this is only the second time I believe that we've had you on. Kaze, it's been great to sit here and talk with you. I don't think I talked with either Thana or Kaze at any kind of extended length besides doing this podcast, and so it's been a good experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, with that being said, thank you everybody who watched the show today. Thank you everybody who hosted the show. Thank you everybody who followed. Thank you everybody who subbed. Thank you everybody who did anything with the show at all. Commented in the chat. That was wonderful. Thank you very much to Blizzana for the artwork that we have on the show. Thank you very much, Andre Kane, for the music that I use in the intro and the closing. And thank you, Karara, for the emotional support she gives me every single day. Guys, thank you again for watching. And we're about to do our awkward waves. So, guys, be good. Keep cool and stay frosty.
Yes. What's up, guys? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm waving, but you can't see.